Um, yeah, so it's quite complicated, but I've got it down to two sides of paper now. Um, so I'm going to break it down. Main thing I'm going to go through first is like look at the 22, look at some of the movement, then the cinema, because the cinema's kind of complicated, and then I'll go like in detail at some of the tech, and then look at 21 on the end. So I go over it like in really broad strokes. So you got five cinemas, um, and this is the only one, that's any good. So when I'm like going hard, I'll quit out on all other cinemas. But generally, it's nice to have like a little bit of practice. Um, Sort of keep your hand in it, make sure you don't make any silly mistakes. Shoot to free him. And then this ramp's really nice. One of the things to start with, like off the bat, is the hostage who you free has absolutely got to escape at the best spot. So he either escapes early, or like your best time you can get is something like 25. And really, like, you're just playing 1.2 strat at that point. So, um, yeah, it's kind of one of the main things is when you're on a legit run. That's what I generally call it. If you free the other hostage in reasonable time, and this first one's escaped, then the run's legit. So you know about it like really early on. Um, so it's quite nerve-wracking sometimes. Yeah, I'll talk about it all later. Yeah. The really main thing is this is like textbook. I'll talk more about it later, but this is like even back at the start of the year when I was imagining what 22 was looking like, um, and I'd say like I was a little bit naive about some stuff. Like this is what I pictured, just like that guy, three, lovely door, boom, good, job's done. So very good. I think it's quite telling, really. This in the pause here, I'm not really there that long. I was very relaxed, relatively relaxed, and I think it only comes with like having lots of 24s, having cocked up lots of times, and knowing I had a bit of breathing space from the really good play in the first half. So I've sat here like half a minute before. We're not going to talk too much about this throw. It's very dodgy. Actually, we probably will talk about it. I had a similar one earlier that I'd mucked up, and this one I just threw early enough, like literally by a frame, I think. But they all count. And I mean, I got back there, but some people are like, sort of, wow, it's got a back. But you've got to think, your 22 is all about consistency. I've only got one of them, but I'd say that's quite a authoritative statement. So yeah, you really like somewhere you're gonna have some problem. So having a back there, like I'll take that easily. And this pace, it's not super high. I thought it was really high when I was there in the moment. I haven't actually gone and tried to work out what decimal it is. I'd say it's zero point 0.8 probably. But yeah, it's not like frame perfect. Yes! I'll claim it's lower than Carl's, so. Let's get this almost light to the frame. There you go, loads up. Yes, I'll try now and run over it in a bit of detail, just mostly point out like some of the mistakes that you can't really see. I mean, I can't see it like a glance. So Um, yeah, one of the things I wanted to say is this is about 50 hours, I reckon. 50 hours like of sessions. So I tended to play a little bit of practice ROM at the start of a sesh, um, and then I'd play. But like that's split in half because I had 25 hours like last month or something, month and a bit, um, and 20 hours like back in March, I think it was. So, and even looking at some of the vids for this of like my runs back then, I was really still like developing the strat, and it's still got some stuff that like could be developed further and like I'm not sure of and the like. Yeah, and also you can add 10 hours to that if you like. That it took me just to like learn yeah 2.3 um, to a decent like standard. Yeah, and I think like I'm not a great player. I think the main thing to sort of benchmark me with is I really struggle with Cavs 102. I don't even know if I'll go back for it anytime because like yeah, I just find that really hard. But this like it's got a slightly wonky control style. Um, Lots of the movement is quite unique, so I think it's kind of quite accessible. Um, Possibly it's like the most accessible world record to me. Um, it's probably not generally, just from other people like not enjoying 2.3 so much. So yeah, that's all I got on my notes there. Um, so we'll take a look at it more closely, but I want to just like focus on the movement for the most part. So cinema there, we'll talk about it in more detail. But I opted to just keep shooting, and I got 2 hits on the taker. Don't think I hit anyone else. I certainly didn't kill anyone else. I give it a bit of look down. It's just kind of preference at this point. Now let's look at this. So, yeah. I'm going to come back a little bit, so I won't go too crazy at this point. But this is very clean here. Like, just super clean. It's rare that you get off the boat like pretty much perfectly like that. But the main thing to notice is here, like, shortcut. Is my voice alright, by the way? I'm gonna have to come back to chat every like 2 minutes or something to see what's going on. But I did a little test, it seemed alright. Yeah, so this turn, partly I think like I've even had legit fails where literally I sort of unfocus at this point, and I just like I'm not really looking anywhere. I think I almost do it on like peripheral vision or something. So I think because the start was so fast, I actually go a bit wide here. I wouldn't call that slamming into that. One of the main things I've seen in people have sent me runs is that I'm like, don't slam into that. Like you can slam into this one, you pretty much like have to. But yeah, I turned way too late. I strafe changed a little bit too late. So there's a bit of time lost there. Here there's a frame, that one, where I've like moved forward. It's because I'm stuck on the left side. It's not really a problem, but yeah, just know it's there. This door's really nice. I didn't cook it. I had a few problems. Like I don't know. Everything I'll talk about probably in like hours of play. So it was like 5-10 hours ago when I kept cooking this door too much. So this door was nice. Get through pretty quick. And then, like I said, the main thing, like, to appreciate, about this run is that, like, it's textbook, and most runs aren't textbook. So, if you're looking at this run as, like, the only source of information, you're going to struggle on like lots of the other corridors and setups and stuff. But yeah, this is really nice, really nice. So 1 bullet in his back. You're like anticipating him being there basically. So 1 bullet in his back, 3 for that guy. I think the first 2 killed. His gun can really like soak stuff up. And this is very nice here. So I'm keeping the line that I've set, but I've only just started building strafe, and so that helps you sort of slide forward a bit here and then get through the gap. I very rarely get stuck there, but when I do, it's from nerves. So yeah, I can't tell you exactly what I do, but yeah, that's quite nice. I'm going to come back to lots of detail. This door I took from quite far away. It's quite nice. That's one that I do cook, and like I cook it quite reliably. I have missed it, but not very much. Oh, and I'm reloading. That's the thing, yeah, that you might not appreciate, is at this point I'm holding Z. Like I shoot relatively late here, and it's because I opted to reload, which I think was the right choice. When we consider ammo later, we'll have another look back and see what we think of this. But yeah, it's a few frames. And you can tell because I move further forward, I don't normally go actually into the room. So there's a reasonable delay here. But the first shot actually got the kill. And I think it's best death. It's suddenly one of the like better arm animations. Excuse me. So, good. Yeah, I was happy with it.
Very good.
And now we'll take a little look at that throw. So, again, I'll look at the throw in more detail, but you're lining up and then you're giving it height. So, I lined up kind of slow, but you know, at the end of the day, the bug landed. But what we're going to see is that I throw very late. So if you watch here, the count, like I'm dangerously close now to the barrier, and I think it's a little bit yet. Oh no, it's there actually. Yeah. So possibly, if I'd thrown a frame later, I would have collided with the barrier, and so the bug wouldn't have the same momentum. So, very dodge throw. This is cooked. We'll talk about this as well, but you've got to get the bug to land. And it lands on that frame. And it probably wouldn't have landed then. So, that's like 2 frames. It might have landed on this one. That one probably not. So, yeah, I cooked it a little bit. I am quite good at that. I used to always cook it, and then Joey sort of reined me in a little bit. So yeah, that was pretty good. And then you're expecting here to get stuck on a guard, but he's not there. So I'm sort of prepared to warp here, but I'm already through, which is quite nice. He backs me. Also, the turn there wasn't that great because I heard him shooting. I was going to try and get a shot in first. I've kind of grinded the wall a little bit too much. And then obviously the back is an easy 0.3 loss there. Good kill on him though. I don't get stuck on him at all. Don't get stuck on the door. And then until about now, I was really calm. And I've never really practiced the ramp. Obviously it's best to, but like, yeah, you've got to have done the rest of the run first, so I didn't worry about it too much. I think that angle is quite good. Most people have more look down than me here, but you'll see I absolutely slam into that wall, and Yeah, I'm only really like turning properly now. But it's good because we've got A on screen. For a good few frames actually. It's like 0.3 on screen. So. Oh my god. It might be. Yeah, the ramp was a bit dull. I do need to look at how close it was. And then yeah, all the breath goes out of me. So. Yeah, so Rakath, I don't know what the decimal was. I said 0.8 earlier. I think that's a good guess, like 0.8 or higher, less than 0.9. But I would have to go and have a look back at it. So yeah, first thing I want to get is you need to set up your CC. So I generally do it in the menu here, and I just like pull down a little bit till it starts moving, and give it a tiny bit more. So what I'm looking for is for the cursor to always be moving wherever it sits. That'll depend on your controller, but for me I haven't set it up properly there because it's really awkward doing it under the desk here. Let's give that a go. So that's probably too much, I think. It's just scrolling up like a little bit too fast. So give it one more go. Ah, that's not bad. It does just stop there. Yeah, I would redo it generally, but obviously I'm just demoing here, so. Yeah, then with the level loading on NTSC, you've got to be playing on full, and your only choice is either cradle or surface, which are both have the same effect, surface 1. So at the start of your sesh, you just go into surface, quit out, and now you can play Frigate. And you've only got to do that once right at the start. The idea basically is Frigate lacks some certain settings, and so when you load it, it just doesn't set them. So whatever they've been set to previously, they're kept as that, and that's to do with like load distances of objects and things. So for PAL, you've got a choice. It's been a little while since I played on PAL, but I think Dam works if you're playing in full. So you just go into Dam, exact same process. And then on PAL, Surface 1 or Cradle, I believe work on wide. So that's like an option that you have on PAL that you don't have on NTSC. So I'll just go over some of the 2.3 movement now. So you can actually see, I think here, that my CC is a little bit too low. You really should creep up these stairs. I'm not touching the stick at this point. But that's a little bit too low, and look, in some places it's just not even moving. Then your settings in the pause menu. I like music. You could perhaps have it quiet if you want to hear the sound effects better in the opening cinema, but personally I don't have much trouble like discerning if there is a hit, and it's not like I listen much to the individual, like which actual sound effects been played or whatever, so having music up high is not a problem. Then auto aim you're going to want on for firstly the guard in the corridor, but also the taker, the second taker. Auto aim's slightly problematic because it can pull onto the spare guard with the second taker, but mostly if you're careful you can avoid that happening. So yeah, I can't really envisage anyone not wanting auto aim on. All this stuff is real. Ammo you definitely want to know, so don't go like making a meme and having ammo off. And then on NTSC you need to be in full for the setup from loading Surface 1, which unloads the console and loads the guards. You're going to need to be in full for that to work. And then, as I said, on PAL you've got the option of you can still play in wide if you want. Wide you go on Surface 1, full you go on DAM, I believe. And then 16:9 or normal has no effect on like the loading distances that are important in the cinema. So you can, if you want, on PAL actually play quite a wide view setup. But I did play 16:9 to start with, but on NTSC now I just play full and normal. Yeah, I've got my little bit of CC on my primary controller that for me I have in my right hand. I don't think it really matters. You need to have that quick B to start, so actually it might be advantageous to have secondary controller in your right hand, because then you can press B on secondary and start on primary. But yeah, I like having the aiming on my right thumb. So this is the setup I have. And then yeah, you've got back and forward on primary is to move back and forward. Left right on primary is to look left and right. That's what's a bit wacky about it. And then on secondary controller you've got strafe, which actually, yeah, this is against what it says below, so shows they didn't do much testing with this stuff. And then up and down you've got for looking up and down, and you've obviously got shoot on the secondary controller, so that you can do it in the cinema. And then aim, which we don't use, only accidentally. But then you are going to need it obviously when you then go down to one controller. Personally I have, you can actually just about see it, C down is rubber banded for me. It's just because of the way I hold the controller, and C up will override it. So I'm holding C up now, and then I release, and then you're back to going down and C down. So kind of nice little trick. Personally I find it very useful. Yeah, the only other thing to say is you're going to need CRT or RetroTink, I'd say, just because in the opening cinema you need a really sharp image of what's going on. You can actually see here we're getting some of these black shadows that you get of it. I suppose it's like the Z fighting or something, and this is what you'll look at to try and gauge what's going on. So you've only got like a couple of pixels, so you're going to need like a sharp image to work with. The final thing to say here is the actual setup of my sticks. So personally I use two good OEMs, original sticks. You certainly need one on the primary, just for the fact you're going to have the fine movement left and right for turning, so you can't be having a GameCube stick really to do that. And on the secondary it's more sort of up for variety. So Joey uses GameCube and he finds it quite nice. I tried it out recently, after I tried it out initially a while ago, and to start with I quite liked it. but I found anything where I had to do improvisation, I found it a bit awkward. I found this door a little bit awkward. It's probably mostly for me, like a lack of familiarity. Like I've got used to having the original stick. So if you've got a GameCube stick, maybe try it initially. Try it and see if you can get familiar with it. But yeah, also lots of things like getting through this doorway here. I just found a bit trickier, but that's got to just be that I'm used to the original stick. And the GameCube stick does have the advantage of you'll definitely have full strafing speed. I found just when I like mucked about on DAM with 2.3, I often lost a lot of time, and I'm pretty sure it's down to not always having the strafing speed. I'll just show now the bridge. I'll just sort of give some idea of what's going on there, because this was kind of, you know, a lot of like the stuff I did looking at what's going on behind the scenes is what made me see the potential that this strat had. So I suppose I should try like communicate as much of that as possible. Yeah, so you're aiming like here somewhere when you hold full up on the stick. So you actually rely on the gun spread to hit this guy. That's what's actually going on. You can hit the hostage, you can kill the hostage, you can hit the hostage in the head, you can hit that guy at the back, but you can't hit that guy. So that's like how it looks. And then when you injure anyone in here, all the guards are going to go running through here. And then, whoops, not through there, not through the wall. And then they join you, you see, in the main corridor. It's one of the interesting things about the pathing. What they're going to be doing is like going through here, through here, through here. Sometimes, occasionally, actually, they get ahead of you. Then they go through here. GoldenEye pathing at its best. They go around here and they run down to the boat. So even if they do that, like that won't happen most of the time. Most of the time they're behind you, or you kill them and overtake them. But occasionally one will get away, but you'll beat him back to the boat easily. So that's not a problem. We'll go now. We'll look at some of the precise stuff of the movement. It's still going to mostly be looking at the 22 because the 22 had a really nice movement. And we won't be looking at some of the like technical stuff just yet, because that's the stuff that can vary, and that's like I say, the 22 was very friendly really for some of that stuff, like the warp. I didn't actually have a guard in the way, so. But the main thing is when you set different CC, you'll feel the movement at the start will feel quite different. So this CC actually, this wasn't far into my sesh. I changed it. I set it up once. I wasn't happy with it. So I changed it about 5 minutes in or something. And then this was like, it was slightly unfamiliar. The only thing that will feel different with the CC is the very start. It was kind of unfamiliar, but it was working. So I was like, alright, I'll go with it. So I would say one of the things you also need is, another reason you need like RetroTink CRT is because you need to be able to react in this bit sometimes. Because you're turning here, you've got primary stick like crammed down and right for to pull you backwards against your CC, so you're not getting like full speed backwards. That's why less CC is generally a bit better. You're turning as hard as you can. That's also why you need a good stick. Is often you'll have your stick in a corner rather than like full left because you're holding speed or whatever. So you're going to need a good stick to help you turn as fast as possible. But yeah, the lag that you get on the first frame can vary. So this was quite low, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, yeah. I'm not quite sure what causes it. It seems to just vary. So sometimes I'm down and right on my primary stick, and hard right on secondary, and sometimes you really gotta like jam it up into like up forwards, like directly up, and then upright to get through the gap. But here I did much more of, I think I went directly to up and right. So you're doing like down and right. And yeah, I got through there quite smooth. I've kind of skidded down here a little bit, but it was quite, my angle was quite nice. So sometimes here you'd be further back and you'd be at risk of like staying on the boat. So then you go directly into full up rather than just into up and right, to try and help you get through cleanly. But yeah, here I really, most runs you'll see that I get stuck on the right side, like I slide forward before I properly get on the ramp. But there's none of that here, so that's really nice. And I turned quite soon as well. You'll see I didn't really hit the barrier in front of me, so that was pretty nice. We've talked about me going wide here. Let's just check my notes. Oh, my look down. I said earlier that's just preference. You probably do want something, but I think Joey prefers just to keep it all looking level all the way through, because you do want to be looking level later on. So yeah, it's preference really. But the really big tip I got for this bit is you can judge it by how things look in the middle, because what you do here is you're turning hard left, and then you're turning hard right. And what I do is, obviously I'm like sort of judging it by feel, but once I start turning hard right, I then see how much, what the angle was that I was at, because if I'd have turned too much, especially with a bit less look down, you'd see a load of C. And if you see that, then like you know that you've turned too far left, and so you know you're at risk of getting stuck up the top here. So you're going to have to turn, hold your right turn for a little bit longer. So I think that's why I used to, early on, I used to get stuck here on the left quite a lot. And I used to be quite like, that was quite a thing that I was concerned about, was getting stuck on the left. But I had a few clangers, mostly on important runs. Like my 24, one of my 24s has a decent stuck there, but it's really rare. That's partly why it pissed me off so much, was because I rarely get stuck on the left there now. But yeah, this was good, and like I say, from that that sort of indicator, I knew this was good. So I come through and I turn back left. This corner can be a problem. I was actually quite close to it this time, reasonably. But again, it's super rare to get stuck on it. Ideally, you shouldn't be going like way out there. It's quite sort of far right. So now, this is like a big music check to judge your start by. Let me play the music out. So there's going to be a music change like as I go past the wall. Yeah, I think this music's delayed by a few frames, but I think for me it was literally right on the corner. So the start looks really nice, but because I went wide on that apex, it wasn't really quite so perfect. This is where you want to check your ammo. Your ammo's going to be really important. On NTSC you rarely run into problems, but you've got to decide whether you're going to try and reload or not, basically. then yeah, keep it tight. You can get stuck here. This is actually like a square or a rectangle. So there's actually a corner there that you can get stuck on. So just be careful of that. Tuck in like quite a lot. There's no reason to be getting stuck on the left hand there. And then this I describe as like I have a breath in between the two turns. So it's like turn, rest, turn, click. Just make sure you're not trying to do it like in one turn. Otherwise you will miss like quite a lot. Yeah, the other thing is I think I may even be grinding the left ever so slightly, because it's nice to have the door like big in view. Because yeah, I've had quite a few problems with I've cooked this door a little bit too much. So having it in view really like helps quite a bit. Yeah. Oh, good point. I made this note when I went back. It's also worth knowing and feeling full speed starts building there if you've done things well. So I don't know about other people, but I don't really feel full speed. But if you don't have it, then you do feel that you haven't got it. Feels like you're running through treacle or something. So that's the point where it starts building, and then it's probably like you're at full speed around here somewhere. You'll really feel it in the corridor if you haven't got full speed, or if you've lost it somewhere. The corridor just feels so slow. So yeah, then the door, obviously crack it as soon as possible, but like without cooking it too much. And then the really big thing when Joris was taking a look at this, and sort of we were just talking about like whether 21 pace was possible or not. There were two big things I pointed out in one of his like runs that he was trying to test the pace on. Was that you want to be on the right side of this door. This door's really strange. In the TAS, you sort of pop into a like middle position. So when it's slightly open, it's because the corner's right there. So like you can't warp it basically because of this bit of wall here. So you just want to stay on the right side. There is a bit of an art to it. When I was playing on PROM, and I was trying to get really good splits, I really worked hard at this. But mostly now I just sort of stay right with a gentle amount of strafe. I'm not full strafe because one of the big problems is you'll crash into here. Either that or you won't go in the door. You'll slide off to the right. We'll talk about these guards later. I hope, anyway. Yeah, we do. Yeah, so I'm trying to just sort of layer it up. So I do deal with him really well, but the thing we're just going to look at, we talked a bit about this middle door. With the 22 strat, you're looking for consistency. So take that guard, hopefully. And then you don't want to be changing strafe before this, really. You're kind of changing strafe through it. Like you start giving yourself the strafe before it, but you haven't finished building it until just after it. So I get through really nice. I opted to reload, which yeah, we'll discuss later. But good decision. It's like the short version. But the main thing I noticed looking back at this is I'm riskily, if that's a word, far left. I think I realised, I don't remember realising, but the way I did the door, it looks like I realised. So you want to just bomb it down the middle of the corridor. If you're too far right, like seeing the door and opening it early is difficult. If you're too far left, you can't open it as soon. So you want to just like bomb it down the middle. I'd say here, yeah, I'm drifting left ever so slightly. I can see a bit too much of that door for my liking. So yeah, I don't think we'll call this luck. I think I do realise there. I think I turned before I pressed B. But this door you can get from really far away. I wouldn't advise you cook it more than this 22. This 22 cooks it a decent amount, especially considering I'm reloading anyway. But yeah, I'm quite good at this door, which probably means it's quite easy. I mean, generally it's just like timer B press. And also we haven't really got a middle of the screen here, but I think my dot is to the right of the door. And certainly you don't need your dot on the door, because obviously the door's got some depth. So you can go for the B press like on the side of it. And then considering that I'm reloading, this section is like beautiful. So coming up, I've like fixed my aim. A lot of this movement here, I can't really say is like conscious anymore. I just sort of do it. So I think what's nice about this, it's not necessarily like that I've sort of processed that consciously, but if I'm reloading, I tend to actually go into the room, which I don't do otherwise, because you're waiting to be able to shoot, and then I'm retreating, so I've actually got some momentum, and because I've finished aiming, it's easier to back up. So when I finish the kill, which actually I did it in one bullet, but when I've fired the second shot, oops, going backwards, I've got some momentum backwards, so I can just turn left. I don't have to go left and back. Also put left strafe on it, which I think helps me line up, because one of the things is, at this point, you want to line up reasonably well for the throw. So good, that's a decent lineup. I'm too far left for the bug throw, but not like by a huge amount. And if you've seen me streaming, sometimes I'm at some like pretty questionable angles. So yeah, that's actually all I want to say now. I think very good. I think I'm going to go into the rest of it. So when you open up, you're holding A and Z from shortly after the when the music starts or whatever, and then let go straight away of A, but hold Z, and we're going to just look full up. So for me that's pushing down on the stick, and what you're actually doing here, this is going through the mechanics that we've got, is you're just leaning the gun. The gun's not aiming. It's similar actually to in Bunker 2. I think you hold full down while doing the slap, and I imagine at least that's like leaning the slap in a little bit more. And I know people talked about it on streets. They said like whether there was any benefit to doing that with the grenade shots. It's not actually, don't do it. Yeah, so that's like our main mechanic that's going to lift the shot up, and we want to do that like, yeah, full up. If we had a little bit more, we'd actually do it even more up, but you don't. So that's kind of nice that it's simple. So yeah, Surface 1 on NTSC at least, the effect it's having is it's not going to load the consoles, but it is loading the guards. So it gives you more guard to hit and also less chance of blowing up the console. So that's like sort of the key mechanic that helps us out a bit there. And then with gun spread, this is going to be important in a moment. When you're firing a burst, this is true of all weapons except PP7, I think. the first bullet in the burst is 4 times as accurate, so it's got a quarter of the gun spread. And from then on, they're all equally spread. So that's kind of important. It helps a little bit with some of the strats that you might use here. So yeah, so let's look at those strats. So we're saying bye-bye to the 22 for a little bit. Keep that open. We're going into the cinema. So yeah, let's go for the simplest sort of thing first. Is taker and corridor. Let's play a little bit louder. So I've got 1 hit there. You should see a change there, hopefully. He reacted, but he reacted quite fast. He just sort of did a little ow my leg, and then off he goes. That's not him opening the door. One of the other guards opened the door that you can hear, but he's going to run through it quite cleanly. So he got away. I sent a few sort of shots out to see what was going on, but he's run. I hope I've got the right video. That's my interpretation of it. So this is him right here, I think. So I've hit him. No blood will show if you're trying to do some forensics. As far as I know, no blood shows. But this is the guard that we've hit. And the reason you know is because he's got the D5K, and both of the other guards have the Phantom. I call this broadly the backup strat. Also say getting the taker in the corridor. It won't happen that much. Most of your kills you'll get in the maybe, I don't know, 80%. You'll actually kill him when he's in the bridge. But perhaps the other 20%, that might be a fair figure, you'll get here. And this is exactly the same odds. Yeah, it's no problem. This is, yeah, it's the backup strat, but like, it's not disadvantaged. Kill him. Got a little bit more stuck there, you see. Something interesting to note. I built the strafe a little bit too soon. I should have waited another frame or two. And so I really like start heading left too much. So I got stuck. But I dealt with it okay. Yeah, so we have 1 frame. This is from me taking out the guard with a D5K. So possibly you could get some awful death animation and he wouldn't release in time. But yeah, hostage released here. I think, do we see him escape on this one? Can't remember. I've got one where he does escape, at least up on my YouTube. But he escapes like as I'm leaving the corridor at the other end. So it's perfectly legit. And remember, he can only ever escape best spot, the bridge hostage. Nice throw. Yeah, so neither of them have actually escaped. But yeah, he would have escaped, like, especially since I got stuck, like, here or something. So yeah, he's, yeah, like I say, backup strat, but like, it's not really any different. You're just swapping a guard that you hope is going to be at the front of the corridor for one that absolutely has to be there. So that's backup strat. Yeah, one I want to mention that I've not been doing myself. I only thought of it recently, but you can try it out in some of the other cinemas. Is your very first bullet alerts the taker, so he starts his 3-second timer. before he kills the hostage. Could show that actually. We're going to be having a little peep at these scripts later on, so we might as well have a look now. But this is the taker, and if a bullet goes nearby, then he starts his timer. And on agent, it's 3 seconds as we got here. So yeah. So what you can do is you can not aim up for the first shot. Put the first shot on the face of the bridge, and then aim up for the second shot. So I've not tried it. There's no reason why it won't work. And it gets you one more shot before the hostage is going to be executed. So for NTSC, it's probably worth doing. I'm certainly going to start doing it for 21. So yeah, so that's the second sort of major, in quotes, trick. And then there's backing up. This is like my main contribution. I mean, I've refined a lot of the, Golden Greg had the, what I'd call inspired idea. I've refined a lot of things, but this was one of my early, contributions, which I think is quite neat. So you've got to shoot, and I'll talk about this more later, but you're going to shoot in one long burst to start with until you hit something. But often you'll hit, because of the way the guard's standing, you're either going to hit an arm or you're going to hit a leg. They're like the big areas. So if you're hitting a leg or certain animations on the arm, then he backs up. And if you remember from when we looked at it, don't know how long this will take to load, but the guard is to the left of where we're trying to aim. Well, not where we're trying to aim, where we're like forced to aim. Yeah. Yeah, here we go. So hopefully, I turned it a little bit. Oh, this isn't going to work quite so well. That's not bad. Yeah, it doesn't quite. I've lost a little bit of precision there. But yeah, you're aiming. You can see this if you want to see this. Load up Dam, then load up Frigate, and use the PP7, and just fire one shot, and you'll put the shot on the console there. So he's to the left. So if he backs up enough, and it's surprising how far that distance is, then you can use the single shots, which, as I was saying, are much more accurate, and you're guaranteed to hit him basically if he backs up enough. So this is the strat. You get one early hit on the leg, he backs up, and then you finish him. But it's quite tight in the time you've got in the cinema. So you see the hit was really early. Doesn't always have to be that early. It depends how fast he backs up. I think I got a slightly slower backup here because there's a few different animations. But I just about made the right choice. Yeah, so there it was. So the third and final shot. My audio here is slightly delayed. So he's backing up. Deep in the fade, you put that final shot. Because you're really committed at that point. Because he's backing up, there's very little chance he's going to make it into the corridor in time. So you've just got to commit, try those little shots, and make sure your final shot is really late. So yeah, so they're your main things. You got that you can put the first shot on the face to give yourself one more shot extra before the guy gets executed. You can hit him, he can run, and then you get him in the corridor, or you can have this backing up. they're like the fancy ways of doing it. Obviously, you can just kill him like, outright sort of thing. So yeah, so they're the ideas to like having your head, and then you want like the general approach. So as I mentioned, until you get a hit, you're wanting to shoot continually in one burst, because otherwise you're not getting as much bullet spread, and your timer has started ticking. So you want to get those shots in like as fast as possible. So the main thing that can sort of throw you off is that you hit a hostage, and this is where we get to the stuff that like I can't show you because you need a decent capture of it, but you can sort of see what's going on in the actual bridge. In this one, I'll show it again later, but I killed him really soon and I got good death animation, so the hostage is released actually in the first cinema. But yeah, normally with something like that, you can literally see, I mean, this is the clearest image, is you can see him literally like lying on the floor. So you know then, like, okay. And it's kind of, everything's black. It's like a black silhouette. So you know then that you've got the kill, which is good. Occasionally also you can see hit markers, but it's very rare. Generally they don't show. And then yeah, finally, like I was saying about the backing up strat, is I see what I think is his gun. I see like it's almost I've described it before as like some kind of abstract drawing. It's not really a person, but you've kind of got the impression of it, and obviously it's moving, so with a bit of imagination you can kind of like see a person. And the main thing I see with him backing up is this like little horizontal bar that sort of wiggles back and forward but slowly makes progress to the right. And you're going to need to decide if he's backing up fast enough for you to get the kill with my like consistent method. So yeah, this is something, the cinema really is quite subtle. Needs a lot of practice. If you're capturing very well, then you could look back at them. It's very rare for me now. I mean, also practice run will help because you can just play the legit cinema over and over and over again. But for me, there's very few cinemas where I don't know what's happened. If I hit the hostage, generally I know. Occasionally something strange happens, because you can even hit, there's the guard at the back, you can even hit him. Sometimes you just hear a lot of shots landing and loads of people going, ouch. And even I think I've killed the guard at the back once, and then the taker has executed the hostage. I've had that happen before. So yeah, broadly, turn your brain on whenever the cinema comes up, because often you got to work quite hard. So yeah, you're shooting broad strategy now because you know everything. You're shooting like just holding Z until you get hit, and if you get an early hit, then the thing to do is to worry that maybe I've hit the wrong guard, maybe I've hit the hostage, and also maybe he's not going to back up and I'm going to want to spend my ammo. So on NTSC you're firing slightly slower. PAL is I think it can be more optimal, but even myself I prefer NTSC, just because it's much easier not to accidentally spend ammo. So yeah, if you hit early, then use up your spare ammo, at least to a little bit, just until you get a picture of what's going on. You know, you see a little bit of movement and you think, yeah, I've hit the hostage. Because, yeah, I can't even say, like I've been saying about the backing up, like what you see. I can't even say what it is that tells me I've hit the hostage. But you just get like an impression that doesn't seem to be like much movement. So then you think like, oh, I've probably hit the hostage, and so you keep shooting. So yeah, that's what to do with the early hit. With the mid hit, it's kind of a bit trickier because you've got to decide: do I save that ammo for backing him up, or do I keep shooting a little bit longer? So on NTSC, ammo's less of an issue, so that question's less painful. But on PAL, you have to choose, and sometimes, like even with the best decision, it's going to end up being like the wrong one that time. And yeah, it can be a bit annoying. And then the final thing to note at the end is if you're shooting and you just hit nothing, so you're getting near the point, which is really consistent of when the guard's going to execute the hostage. So yeah, if you're approaching the end, the thing to consider there is that always your only outcome that you're interested in is if I do get a hit. If you completely empty your clip and hit nothing, then the run's dead. So you want to time releasing Z to save ammo, because say you just keep holding Z, you get down to 5 bullets. It's probably the last one that might work. Your fifth, well, what would that be, like fourth from last bullet hits, and then you spend another 2 bullets. You're now on 2 bullets. Very dangerous. You're essentially relying on there being a guard at the front of the corridor to give you more ammo, and even then you're struggling because you've only got 1 bullet for the guard at the end of the corridor, and he's like super troll. So you want to anticipate the end and not fire any more bullets than that. So you should end on 4 or 5 maybe. 4 definitely no lower than 4. If you shoot and hit nothing, you should still have 4 bullets in your clip. If you got 3, you fired too many. So yeah, that's like surprisingly important thing, because you can get some late, you can land a headshot quite late, or even a body shot on Agent. Please be a not too long tutorial. Alka, you picked the wrong tutorial. If this stuff like passes you by, it's not too much of a problem, but it's worth having some idea of the issues that can happen. So one of the things in this script that we're already in, this is the hostage taker, is after the 3 seconds run out, he goes here, and we have this bizarre thing. This is just like visual, so this doesn't really matter, but he's committed at this point to killing the hostage, but he waits a few frames. He waits 5 frames before the hostage actually dies. And the problem with this is that you can kill the taker, but he's already got here. He keeps going while he's doing his death animation, and then he kills the hostage. And that's exactly what happens in this one. So you hear that? It's like a oh ooh. So the first one is me hitting the taker. This was actually early on, so you see I do what I was just saying was quite bad, is I fired too many bullets. Maybe not actually, well, there's probably 1 or 2 too many, because yeah, that one that I'm mentioning there is too late. So for a start, someone's died, but we haven't got hostage released. I played the run out just to be cautious until, yeah, run's dead at this point. I haven't got a D5K, so where's the taker? And there it is on the floor. But I've killed the taker there, and he's still killed the hostage afterwards, which is, yeah, brutal. But that's why, to make sure, basically I'm stressing don't fire past that 4 bullets, or maybe even 5 left in your clip, because even though you might think those bullets are before the hostage is being killed, it's actually after he's committed to killing the hostage. So, a few more subtleties. These are some strange things you can have happen. This is the hostage now, so these two things are irrelevant. So he just loops until the taker finishes his death animation, and then he goes down here and it says hostage released. But the thing that can happen is the hostage can be dying when this happens. So then you get hostage released come up on screen, but the hostage is already busy dying. So basically the only reason to know about those is to not count them as like, oh, I freed the hostage but he didn't escape. These odds are bullshit. Because yeah, actually there's no way he can escape because he hasn't really been released. And you can hear when this happens because yeah, you hear that the hostage has died, or you get 2 kills and you never see a green hostage in the corridor. So generally you know when that happens. Final thing to know, because it is pretty worthwhile, is my trick. So I didn't do it in this one, but I'd got the early kill. I think his body must have been on the floor because I knew that I had the kill. But the hostage has actually been released now, and it means we can do my trick where we shoot near the hostage. So this is he's been released, so he goes to the running one. And yeah, it's kind of cute to know the details of it. So what he's meant to do when you shoot near him, the light design of this, is he starts surrendering, and then he either stops after a random amount of time, or if he sees someone dead, or like if he gets spooked basically, or if you injure him and then he finishes his injury animation, then he's meant to carry on running. But actually the loop part here, this go to first 07, doesn't go to there. Instead it takes us up here, and this is the good pad. So you can crunch some numbers, but basically if you shoot near him, when he reselects his pad, he's got twice the chance of normal, in fact more than twice I think it's, to choose like the good pad. So that's really like good. You often you don't get that many where you free him in the cinema, but like early enough. But it's well worth throwing a few bullets at the end of the cinema to hopefully trigger this. It's hard to know, whether he's escaped because of it, or just you didn't manage to do it and he escaped normally. But yeah, it's definitely worth doing. Yeah, final thing on cinema stuff. This is kind of like a big choice. I'm still not 100% sure it's perfect for 22, but I do recommend it, is watching the second cinema. And we're going to see like what the purpose of that is. It's kind of quite a big choice. But yeah, basically we're doing that to get an extra guard in the corridor so that we can kill him, have him out the way, and then the return journey back through the corridor will be a little bit easier for us. So that's kind of the overarching purpose. But yeah, it's going to be a little while till we get there. But that's it. You made it through cinema, which is like one of the really big things. So yeah, we're going to look now at some of the like really important tech. It's kind of just things to do to control what's going on. So let's remember the 22, and then this is what we call a two-guard cinema, two-guard corridor rather. So it's quite crazy, like the spread you can have. I've actually once had a 0-guard corridor because this guy has run and actually gone through that door. He's like seen you under the door, which he can do. He can see you at the bottom of the stairs sometimes. And he's actually made it through that door without seeing me. So I've had no guards in the corridor. You can have a 1-guard corridor with just that guy. 2-guard is like what I'm aiming for with my 22. And why I'm waiting the second cinema is to have exactly this. So this is really quite nice. So let's just have a brief peek at what's going on with this. That's perfect. Oh god, that's not perfect. Yeah, so there's these are the sets. This is like the navigation graph. But when guards are unloaded, they're only ever on these pads, as we call them, and they simulate how long they think it's going to take them to move along that segment. They wait that amount of time, and then they teleport. But if you open the door while he's simulating moving along here, then he's going to start back here. So that's why this guy is very often, he's either there or he's more centrally. I think because sometimes he does like a little spin or something. So the idea here is that auto aim should help you out, and you just stick one bullet in this guy's bag. So that's exactly what happens. Yeah, we're going to cover noise, but the reason it's only one bullet is noise. You deal with that guy, and then on you go. That's the good one. Oh, of course, I was in the wrong thing. Here's the 3-guard corridor. Oh yeah, the music is the sound is quite delayed. So yeah, I've dealt with those two okay. But that guy, I just didn't put enough bullets. So it would have been really nice. So I did the start like not like normal, pretty much. And then here I should probably just have seed up and buried bullets in him. Yeah, this is the thing. 3-guard corridors. You just got to accept you're not going to be as prepared for them. So, yeah, I got one hit, but where's the next bullet? There should be another bullet in his chest. Yeah. So that was unfortunate. 3-guard corridors I generally say are bad, but occasionally you deal with them well. If you're a good player, you can deal with them better, I should imagine. And then you've got no guards behind you for the return journey, so that's quite nice. But that's where 3-guard corridor is where a bit of like the improvisation came in. Again, I couldn't find it just today, but maybe I'll try to find it for the edit. But sometimes I've like danced around a guard at the end. You can do all sorts of stuff when there's 3 guards. And again, just once or twice, you've got all 4 guards because maybe you've only injured the taker. And then, yeah, that's just very unlikely to end well, really. So really important. And the 22 does this nicely, so we're going to look in at the 22. This I call pinning the spare guard. This guy's the spare guard. So he's problematic because he can block the hostage. And like the whole idea here is that we're optimizing. Is this the one I want? Probably. Yeah, we go. The whole idea here is we're optimizing, like, the hostage route should be completely clear and he should stay completely unloaded. And the problem you can have is that this spare guard, if he can't see you, he'll move out here, and he's unloaded, remember, so it's all teleporting, and then he's looking to teleport over here. But if the hostage finishes his unloaded movement, then he's looking to teleport there, and if that guard's there, then he'll load back here. He loses 2 seconds and he'll get stuck on the chair. So it's really important that you keep the spare guard, keep his line of sight on you to keep him busy, which works really well in this 22. So if you remember, I've only got 1 guard behind me in the corridor because I've killed 2. Good. Yeah. So you hear it more clearly there. And that's all because of where I'm putting myself on the door. So when I landed on the door here, I'm all the way left and all the way onto it. Being all the way onto it is the main thing. You can be reasonably far right on the door as long as you're against it, and he'll still have his line of sight on you. So yeah, that's like a really important thing. You can't be too far back from the door or the hostage is going to get blocked. Yeah, now we'll look at noise. So I've got 7 ammo. As we said, we may or may not reload, but I decided I thought I'd reload. So this is where we need setup editor again. We're going to go have a little peep. What's down here? So this guy can hear you. He's not going to be so much of a problem on the way in, but he's a problem on the way out. If he hears you on the way out, he's going to go up there and he's going to block the hostage. So he mustn't hear you. The main guy we're worried about is this guy, the grenade guard, I call him, because he can. He's one of the 3 guards who can pull a grenade. So yeah, he's the reason you always want to do 1 shot in the back and then 3 down the corridor. More than 3 is very risky. Sometimes you can get away with 1-4, but not always. And there's no real reason to risk it. So there is a final guard who will hear you, who is that guy, but he's going to take a long route round there, through that room, through here, round and up, and even for like 23, 24, the hostage is going to beat him. So he's actually not an issue, which is good. Yeah. Final thing with this stuff is the death animations. So one of the things I've been saying is 22 is like all about consistency. Yeah, the thing that's nice about 22 is the death animation isn't too important. I think I got best death, but it may even have been second best. I didn't check. Yeah. So if you look, I had like more than a second to spare. So we're certainly taking all of these for sure. Because you've got that bit of breathing space. And even these I've had, because remember that I reload in the 22. So my kills later, I've had 22 on practice ROM with even these deaths. So if you have a really good start, 22 you're still making it with these deaths. Bug throw, I think. Apparently this one's got an interesting bug throw. So we're lined up slightly right. Ah, I did the high throw. Yeah, so this is something, I was really confident with it for quite a long time. I kind of lost the feel for it, so I think I stopped doing it. But because I'm further right, let's go take a look at that. So on the right side, the helicopter's closer. It's also thinner. But yeah, I was super consistent. Like I basically never missed. Be funny if this is where I miss. And so I used to put a lot of height on it, just to give it more dip. Because the thing you've got to appreciate is the drop down onto the helicopter. So generally you're throwing it quite flat if you want more distance. So like for the main throw, I'd say ideally you want to put it like on the pirate text, perhaps slightly below it. That's like the perfect throw. You can get away with some short throws that are going to land like on the wing. You'll rarely get away with throws down here. It's just slightly tricky with the door. But yeah, so I put more height on it to try and give it some dip. Yeah, and I do get it. So that's also quite a nice warp. I think we'll look at that one again. So yeah, have a feel for the throw. I'm not perfect at it. I probably hit it about 70% of the time, I'd say. Maybe more. Yeah, let's take a look at 22. So generally, I mean, I have C down rubber banded, mainly because of the way I hold the controller. So if that is the case, or if you're tight for time, you absolutely need to be holding C up. There's like no doubt about that. And so you haven't got long to line it up and then throw. And it's tempting to try and like line up and then see how it looks and line up a little bit more. You literally just don't have the time. So as you come out of the pause, you gotta do your little bit of line up, commit to whatever you've done, start lifting it up, press Z early before you crash into the wall, which I just about manage. Like, yeah, I said earlier, if that Z press was a frame later, it probably would have mucked the throw up. So, but yeah, that was quite nice. Oh, the other thing, I've got quite good if the door's shut. If I miss the B press, I can still make the throw, and that's something like that I might consider for 21, is to stop yourself getting boosted out. So again, it's just like different things can happen. You can be in sort of an imperfect setup, but you still wanna be able to hit the bug throw. So I'll talk very briefly on what's wrong with 1.2. Yeah, so with 1.2, you've got two things. Again, with the pads, it always comes back to the guards moving unloaded, is there's a really long segment down the back here. And when you crunch the numbers, the hostage from that room is always going to load. Even in Carl's 22, it loads on this hostage here, which loses time. So yeah, that's like a big thing that is affecting consistency and speed. And the other one is that this guy sees you injure this guy, and he starts moving through this way as well. And basically his speed can be a little bit random, and if he moves too slow, he won't get over there before the hostage is trying to come here. So all of these things like compound and come together, and yeah, make it for like a pretty rough sort of scenario that the hostages have got to get through quickly. So I think they're the only real points to make. But yeah, just to say it again, that with 2.3, the whole premise is that this hostage has no obstacles ever, and he's going to stay unloaded for the whole time. And this makes him really consistent in his speed. Like, it varies by about 0.1. Like, that's it. Obviously, he's still got to choose the best pad, but we've got no control over that. But he's going to have a completely clean route. And that's how you get the A on screen in the 22. So one of the big things, as I said there, is for the hostage to stay unloaded. And we're going to see... I was trying to explain to Joey why I didn't like what he was doing. But yeah, I had to have a few goes at this when I was trying to prove myself right to Joey. Because basically you need to have one of the death animations that isn't quite so good, but is still 22 worthy in order to really demonstrate the problem. So I got one of those, can probably show it here. I think it's 11. So he's still in the decent deaths. I don't think it's either of these, is it? 3 and 6. 3, 6. Definitely not 6. Don't think it's 3. Just have a little look. No, it's definitely 11, isn't it? Yeah. So it's not even... you know, it's not even one of these slower ones. It's still in very much 22, even low 22. So, what the thing is, there's also a component that the hostage has to realise he's free, and that's random, and it's anywhere between immediately and about 0.3. So I probably got a bit of that delay on this one. That's so loud. Yeah, so I do the throw. I do it quite punchy, quite short, but it probably would have landed. I mean, I was just trying to demo it. So. Yeah, and so I've backed up straight, you see. So now you've got the door here is in view, and the room is loaded. So go and have a look. And we see this guy is loaded before he's even got to his pad over there. And so this is like a run killer, straight up. But the thing that's important here is that even if he'd have made it past the chair, which is like the big problem, we'd still have reloaded him because he'd still be in this same room before he'd got out of the room. And so he'd lose like whatever progress he's made, and also the loaded movement is not quite as optimal. So we're always trying never to load him. So I was very happy when I got this on stream. I was like, I told you so, Joey. So yeah, so this inspires the modern meta. So we're going back to the 22 because the 22, like I say, has got some really nice movement. Yeah, so let's take a look then at how this is going to look remarkably different. So you see, I used to do sort of a halfway house. I think I showed it earlier in the stream. And I used to mostly look away, but then near the end I would still look at the doorway. But the new meta, and I really recommend it, whatever Joey's going to say about how he doesn't like scraping against the wall, is just you never look at the door. And this is like absolutely perfect, I'd say. So I'm not even too close to it. The most you see is slightly right of the coloured pipes. And then that's it. So yeah. That's really nice. yeah, quite a modern trick, or at least modern thing that I've realised the importance of, because I thought that it only mattered on particularly bad animations, but you see there that animation was still perfectly 22 pace, and yet I would have killed the run if I'd have gone straight back, and I probably would have got away with it, but I still would have lost a little bit of hostage speed if I'd have done my like halfway house sort of thing. Yeah. Now that's like 1-0 to me over Joey, but then Joey's going to get one back now. So, watch the bug basically. So there it is. We still see it. We still see it. And then we just about see it land. Because with 22, you're going to be staying in front of the middle of the corridor. This is like a big thing that I'm very confident of as being like the way to approach 22 is that you basically wait here. You're kind of sandbagging. But I really cooked it. And I used to cook this too much, and then I used to say like, oh, why isn't the bug landing? And then Joey was like, well, the bug's not landing because you're leaving too soon. And he's absolutely right. So I'd like to thank Joey for just like reining me in just a few frames. Because yeah, we got B up here. And the thing you need to be able to still see is the side face of like the deck up here. So you should still be able to see this this white. And I think I have like 2 game frames before I lose it completely. You can sometimes get away with it, but I probably wouldn't have done here. So it was close, but I do think I knew what I was doing here because the throw was really big. Like, it wasn't punchy, it wasn't short, it's really like long. And it's quite quick, so I didn't need to do so much grinding on the wall here. Yeah, it's nice, it's nice. Is Joey still about? Yeah, I think that was quite fair, don't you, Joey? It's 1-1 now, so that's where it ends in a draw. So that's keeping the helicopter loaded with the 22 approach. A little bit of look down might help. It's similar, I think, to Surface 2, where you have look up, or Dam, where you can kind of keep a room loaded or load a room, even when you can't quite see it. So just a little thing there might help you a little bit. Yeah, and now we've got the warp. So you can see in this 22 I went for the warp because a guard could be there behind me. But he was further back as happened. So I'm expecting that a guard might be here. And this was like going all the way back to watching the second cinema. The reason we watch second cinema is to kill an extra guard, and that's because we only want there to be 1 guard max to be at the middle here, because otherwise he's going to block us. So I can go show you. Again, it's going to be consistent because the guard's unloaded. He's going to be right on that spot there. So you can walk past him quite consistently. The only problem you have is if he crouches rather, then he can block you. So, but occasionally also there's no one there. In this case, the guard is back there. He'd seen me from further back. Doesn't always happen. And so he'd stayed back there and started aiming at me. So, but I would have hit that warp, I'm pretty sure. I'm quite consistent at it generally. So this was the old school. The hostage hasn't escaped, But you see that I'm gonna load the doorway here and load that room. So this was a little bit back in the day, but I got away with the bug as well. Notice that's pretty jammy. Yeah, pretty jammy. But this warp's very nice. Pop. So actually, there were two guards, but he was in a very fortunate position because he could be right where I am, and he'd stop your warp. But I just popped through. Let's see that again. This warp's so nice. Bam. Because I think the guard crouches. So this guard's crouched. Or I think, or he's coming out of a crouch. But yeah, that's what you're going for. Even with two guards there, I still got it, which is nice. So you're still in backstrafe. Let's go back to 22 to show like what I'm thinking. Like backstrafe, backstrafe, backstrafe. Let off the left strafe so that you start to come towards the middle. Grind on the middle, and then perhaps even you could switch slightly sooner. I switched a bit late. And you're reactivating the backstrafe. And then that turn there is still a bit of a delayed reaction, really. I've tightened it up to point the it's a bit unintuitive because you're backstrafe warping, which you don't do anywhere else. But that's quite a good angle. Probably a little bit too much. It's just past facing square on to the wall. So if I had have got stuck on a guard, that would have been a nice warp. Like I say, a bit late, but when you consider that I would have had a clean exit, it still would have been 22. So. And in order to do this warp, and this demonstrates it quite well, you're selecting PP7. Very good. Right here, PP7. But you're selecting the item before the silence D5K. So occasionally, if you killed the taker in a corridor, then you have the D5K not silenced, just in the middle there. So you select that instead. And then I select the bug. Spin it on. So that now I've got PP7 coming out after the bug throw. You could like hold Z and keep the tracker out if you wanted to. But personally I think that's probably harder. So. I think the only thing to say is that if I had missed the warp here, your backup, which is like 23 backup, and generally this is why getting 23s is so hard, is something like quite major has to go wrong, and then your backup's got to work. Otherwise it's going to be a 24. So I'd say you're looking to do the backstrafe warp, and if you miss that, then C up. It'll generally be because there's two guards, and one of them is where you're trying to warp to, and so you want to C up through the other one and just gun him down. So you can use 3 bullets there, easy, probably even 4. So yeah, that's your backup. Quite hard to get 23 with it. It's kind of surprising, but definitely that's like the main backup that's going to save a 23. Yeah, the final corridor. Let's just go back 22. There's lots of things that can happen. You've got to be. This is where you've got to recall the thing about noise, because when you're coming back, obviously the hostage has made more progress, so he's going to beat most of the guys, but he won't beat this guy. So this guy mustn't hear you. Maybe I could score a final point for the win and say I think it was Joey had the phantom out when he was coming back down the corridor, and he fired like 4 bullets with the phantom. Like that's the absolute no-no. Because the thing with these guards that you can lure is they're like guaranteed to block the hostage. Just like, yeah. The way the timing works out is he'll arrive there just before the hostage, and then he's starting a long segment, but the hostage reached there first, and so the hostage is gonna reach his destination, and then it's the hostage who goes, "Oh, I can't teleport to my destination," so he loads back at the start, and then you're losing like 2 seconds. Plus, he'd opened the door then, so yeah, it's like again, it's a run killer. So yes, I think that basically concludes 22, and then I've just got some final bits that I want to say about what I perceive 21 looking like. That's pretty clean. Good pace. Decent door. Yeah. So I think the reason I did this was because I just played out practice run to stay warm, and then the pace was good. So I was like, I'll go for 21. Yeah. So I failed it on that one. You'll see later it's nothing to do with where I am. This is like the strange thing. I have some idea of what the mechanic behind it might be, but when you're in front of the middle of the corridor, you've got to be careful about still being able to see the deck, so that the bug throw can land. But when you are through the middle here, then suddenly everything's nicer. And basically wherever you are, because here I can't see the deck at all, but wherever you are, as long as you can see this door, then the helicopter's loaded, and then the bug can land. So this is the thing, I haven't done these strats for a while, I just kind of tested them ages ago, so I'm definitely not like as hot. This is like a proper classic run. Yeah, so look, back in February. So he actually got released in the cinema, which was quite interesting. Oh, this is on practice ROM, don't forget. So this is when I was just going like as fast as I could, try and sort of test the limits. But I wasn't good at the bug throw, so there's a huge time loss there. Yeah, this run really was fast. This is when I was just cooking everything. And look at that. I mean, the thing to note, that's the bug, by the way. This guy's not at his pad, so it wouldn't be quite this easy. You would still need to be doing a proper warp here, so you'd probably need to tighten the angle up so that you pop through better. Because look, I've not even warped anything. Like, maybe I'm warping past this guy, but I could have just not weapon switched, and this whole scenario would have played out pretty much the same. Yeah, and I look back, and pretty much the moment that I look back, it lands, and I think that's because the bug's actually inside the helicopter at this point. Let's see if we get it. Okay, it may actually have not quite have landed yet, but yeah, you can turn around a little bit later. The bug's like going through the helicopter, and then the helicopter loads, and then the bug lands like on the inside of the helicopter. It's kind of cool. But yeah, this is the big strat, I think, for 21. It's definitely riskier. Getting through the middle when there's a guard there is definitely going to be tricky. Sometimes you'll just have to hope there's not a guard there, bomb it. And also you have less time to turn back. Let's get back there. Like, if there was a guard here, I've got no chance of doing anything about him. So I think basically it's either going to have to change a little bit, or the guard is going to have to be at the middle. You're going to have to walk past him, or you're going to have to know whether the guard's in the middle or at the back by, I don't know, like listening to his shots or something. But the time's safe here, because if you remember 22, we're literally like waiting by the middle for the bug to land. So yeah, it's got a lot of potential, but it would definitely fail more times. With 22, like when you get to the bug throw, it's pretty much all on you. With 21, it's going to be like the run's not over yet sort of thing, even to get a legit fail. So yeah, that's cool. And then ideally, we don't want to rely on too good a hostage taker death. And also we could do with a little bit more time. I don't think that alone is going to give us enough time. So here, which I showed earlier, we keep left strafe. So perhaps it's a bit too much. I actually got stuck in the middle there. But something I haven't mentioned actually is the quit out time. So you should always see 11 when you quit out. If you see 12, something should have gone wrong. And if you see 10, I might have had one once or twice. Basically, you've got to really YOLO the kill with the normal 22 strat start in order to get 10 quit out. So practically you never see them. If you play for it, I might be able to get the odd one or two. But yeah, 10 quit out is like phenomenal. But when I did this left strafe, yeah, it's saving I think towards half a second compared to when you start the left strafe in the middle of the corridor. So that's like a big time save. And also it's the time save not only for you but for the hostage, so that you can afford the not quite so good death animation. The only other thing to consider, healthy tute, healthy length. With everything that's going on in the corridor, it would be really nice if we could literally just beat some of the guards. So maybe one guard from the bridge, we literally never meet him. And also if you're doing that left strafe through the corridor, then you've not really got many opportunities to kill guards. So I think cutting the second cinema instantly is quite possibly the way to go with 21. You could tone down. I don't think you can tone down that strat coming back. I think you have got to you've got to see the bug land from further back. I don't think you can be doing the 21. I mean, when you consider how much time I lost doing that bug throw, we can see the splits at the end. But this was like low 22. Yeah, so let's have a look here. Let's watch these two to finish. I'll just talk you through some of the practice ROM stuff. With these, I'm going to work on them a little bit, make them a little bit better. But I'm going to keep the same splits. So anything below 3 is good here. 2.9 flat is really good. So this is pretty good. Yeah, I'd say if you literally get 3, I wouldn't say that's quite so good. So this is slightly above average, I don't know. Maybe 2.95 is average acceptable. I think low 6 is very good there. I think I've like once seen a 5 something. So low 6 there is really good. Yeah, this is where you'll see the saving. And I think it's where I've measured it from, is when you keep full strafe from inside to the mid corridor. That's where I was seeing the 0.5 saving. Anything before 8 here is good, so that's solid. And anything before 9 for the kill, I would say. Yeah, that's a good kill. I've seen some low 8 kills when everything's literally been perfect. That is probably best death. No, it's not quite actually. Close, but not quite. Really fast hostage. This is the figure I was talking about. This can be anywhere up to 0.3. So this is the hostage has realised very fast that he can escape. Ah, no, I know what I've done wrong. The thing is, he's escaped in the fade. That's yeah. Sorry, that's what my calculation's gone wrong. Yeah, so that's why I'm not seeing the same figure I expect. It's actually slightly lower because yeah, the timer stops in the fade, but then I want to compare it. I want to keep it counting to compare it. Like I said, this is the quit out figure, inflated by 1 frame. So it's low 11. So that's a really good pause. Then what's this for? You can press a button now and it'll compute the difference for you, but you have to do it yourself at the moment. That's 4.658, which is good, yeah. And that's because I'm flying in backstrafe into the middle. I don't know much about the splits at the end, to be honest. But you can see, yeah, even with that awful bug throw, I'm still getting a decent low 22 there. And yeah, this was back in the day. I think that was when I posted it. I thought people would like wake up and smell the bacon and be like, holy shit. But I mean, practice ROM is something different. So yeah, very complete. The aim is to keep it shorter than the Egypt tute, but I don't know if I'll manage that. I imagine people are a bit bamboozled. It's like a lot of information, like even the cinema is there's a lot of subtleties to it. But we'll close out with a 22. Good. That is, yeah, very good. Textbook is the word I should have used. When I watched it back for the first time, that's what I said when I got here. I was just like, absolute textbook. Yeah. You don't need a run this good. There's no way you need a run this good. That's why the decimal can't be 0.9. Like, yes! Yeah. Oh my god. It might be. The ramp was a bit dodge. Yeah, that really sounds like some breakdown, but I am just laughing. Oh my god. Even I was starting to think it was just a meme. That's enough of that. So yeah, that's the end of the epic. Hopefully not the end. Hopefully 21's in the pipeline, but I'm going to wait for someone to get 22 first, I think. Need someone to bounce some ideas off of. Because as you can see, the stuff for 21 is like stuff I've dreamt up, you know. It's not as refined as the 22 stuff. But yeah, I guess like main takeaway, basically anyone can get 22. It's all about consistency. Minor stacks you can still get away with. But yeah, there's enough tolerance. If you're really good, that's the thing. If you really stay hot on like lines and the early ramp movement and stuff, then you can just win yourself like enough time that you can have something relatively major go wrong, like like my back boost, and you've still got 22. So yes, that's the end. It's getting late here. It's 20 to midnight now. So thank you very much for watching.